Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to make a birthday card using the Sunshine and Friendship stamp set by MFT stamps, and we're also going to use the swimming pool die cut to make this fun birthday card. And the interesting thing that we're going to do with the die cut is I'm going to show you how to get some more mileage out of your products by using the die as a stencil for us to draw in a pool into the center of our scene just using some Copic markers. So I'm going to tape the die down onto my card panel, and then I'm just going to trace both the inside and the outside with a Copic marker. And then after that, I'm going to stamp in my images. So we have this cute little tiger kind of relaxing in an inner tube, and then we have a little hippo next to him. And then we're going to add this big chimpanzee who is just jumping right into the center of the pool in between these two little critters who are just basking in the sun and having a great time. Don't know what's about to hit them. Well, I guess the hippo does. He looks like he's like, uh-oh. But the tiger is definitely like in his own world, just relaxing, sunning himself, having some fun. And the perspective we're going to use for this card is we're going to be looking down on them as if we were directly overhead. So it's an interesting perspective, I think, for creating a scene. Now I'm just putting a whole bunch of little greenery around our scene because as I imagine it, these are all jungle creatures and they're all hanging out in the jungle, and somehow there's this lovely pool that I guess they constructed out of some stones, and it's kind of sitting right in the middle of the jungle. So that was the scene that I had in mind, and we're going to add some pretty little jungle flowers as well, just to add a little bit more color to the scene. Now I'm done stamping everything, and I'm just going to clean off the stamp marks from the blue painter's tape so that I don't get any smears as I start coloring later. And now this is the fun part. We are going to just fill in some little stones in that area that we had marked off with the Copic marker. So I'm envisioning this pool as having a nice little stone edging to it, and we're just going to draw in some rectangles that have a little bit of a rounded shape here and there, a little bit irregular just to mimic the look of real stone. And I'm using my Copic multi-liner 0.5 tip for that. And then we're going to fill in all of the stones with a W1, and I'm going to show you how to get a nice 3D realistic look to the stones by adding some shading onto it with some other W markers. So after I add in my first coat of W1, which is a light color, I'm going to add some shading in an L shape with my W5, which is going to be the darkest color we're going to use. And you can use any combination of 3 colors that you like here. And the technique is you lay down your mid-tone or your light color, and then you draw in your shadow in an L shape with your darkest marker, and then you kind of blend everything together with a mid-tone. So here I'm using a W3 to kind of blend both the W0 and the W5 together. And then I'm going to go over it even more with some W1 once I'm done. And by going through that process, you'll get some nice variation in the colors on the rock. So it looks like uneven stone with a little bit of shadowing. And I don't think it matters how you draw your L onto your blocks or your stones, as long as the shading is all going in the same direction. That'll help to reinforce the fact that it's a shadow. If you had your L's pointing in different directions, it might, I don't think it would look so good. Okay, so now I just put some little splashes around the chimp's feet so that we get the sense that he's really about to ruin the day for these, or at least for the tiger, by jumping into the water and disrupting him. So I guess the chimp was in the pool before, and he had some water on his feet, and that's what's splashing around since he hasn't made contact with the water just yet in this jump. He's about to land. For the water, I'm using some BG000 for my lightest shade, and then I'm going to go around the edges with that BG02 and then blend it in with BG01. This is a newish color combination for me. I thought that It would just be really, really nice and vibrant to have the water in the pool be blue-green or really, really bright color instead of just a pure blue. Normally when I color in water, I do just use the pure blues in the Copic family, but for this, I thought that a pool in the middle of the jungle would definitely have, blue-green water for whatever reason. For our little water droplets, I'm going to color them in with some pure blues here, B45 and then B41, just so that there's a little bit of difference so that the splashes show up against the pool water. And we'll add some more decoration to them later when we add our highlights at the end. For the greenery, we're going to start by applying a base of G24 to all of our skinny little leaves along the bottom. And the shading for these leaves is really, really easy. I'm just going to color them all in a matte color and then add a little tiny strip of G29, the darker color, right along the bottom of each of the leaves. And just that tiny little bit of shading is gonna make our leaves really, really come to life and have a nice look to them. For the leaves on our little flowers, I'm gonna use some G03 and G09, I think that was, and then G29 for the darker color. And then since we are in the middle of the jungle, I thought they should have some nice vibrant color. So we're gonna use RV21 and 25 for our little jungle flowers that are around the pool, and then some RV29 for shading. And that all looks good to me. So now I'm going to move on to coloring in the area around the leaves on the bottom. I'm just going to add a base coat of G21, and then I'm going to apply just little dots of G24. And I thought that, I was like, I didn't want that. This was a pretty busy card to begin with, and we already stamped the leaves. I didn't want to stamp any more leaves on there, but I thought that we could give some interest to the scene by just adding some dots of color behind the leaves so that it just looks like, they're part of the jungle too, and there's all kinds of like jungle greenery going on in the background. For the top of the scene, I am going to use some more yellow-green tones just to make things look interesting and to make it look like there's a little light around our chimp. So I just put a little spot of YG01 around him. And then for our larger jungle leaves, we're going to color them in with a base of YG03. And I'm just going to color all of those in first and then add my shading all at once to each leaf as I go along. So this way I don't have to keep picking up and putting down the different markers. I found that this card was a really, really nice card to just relax to because it was just very, very repetitive. And by doing the coloring this way where you're just doing all of the shading all at once instead of going leaf by leaf, it just made it much more enjoyable and relaxing of a process for me. Then the next color we're going to use to shade our leaves is YG17. And I'm trying to leave a nice glow in the center of them, that YG03, just making sure it stands out just so that they pop. Then I'm going to go over the centers with YG01 just to further brighten them. And then I'm going to do the same thing along the top of the scene that I did with the bottom. And we're going to take our YG17 and we're just going to dot it all over just to make things look interesting without having to go and stamp any more images. I'm just going to stamp all over and then add some darker specks as well with the YG67. And then some YG03 just to blend things together. Add some more depth to the jungle. And remember, this is a scene where we're looking directly down onto the pool. And now it's time to color in the three little critters. So I'm going to take off the masking tape that I applied in the beginning. And we're going to start with the chimp, and we're going to color in his face with some E40. And the same with his hands and feet. And then we're going to put some shading with an E42 and blend it together with E40. And then I thought he needed even darker shadows, so I'm going in with a E43. I wanted his face to be really light because I wanted it to stand out against the bright brown fur that we're going to give him. And I wanted to make him look like he had actual fur, that he was kind of shaggy. So the first thing that I'm going to do is lay down a base of E23 to all of the areas that we did not color in on his body with the E40s. And then after we have our base coat applied, we're going to start adding the fur. And to do that, I'm just adding little stripes of color in a fur pattern all over his body. So fur, at least the way I think of fur, it kind of, it goes in rows. So I tried to make my stripes look like they're somewhat in a row, not that they're random, but that they are in like little rows. So it looks like just a whole bunch of little ones over and over again. And then I'm just going to keep going over that with my darker E markers. So after I finish the E25, then we'll make little stripes with E27, and then finally with E39, that's our darkest color. And I'm making sure to not color over everything so that some of the E25 and E27 is standing out. Then we're going to put some little shadows with our E27 along his belly by the tube, maybe by his leg too. And now we can start coloring in the beach ball that's under his arm. I thought I would make this traditional colored beach ball, so we're going to use red, yellow, and blue, some primary colors here. So for the blue, I'm using B24 and B26, which are my favorite. If you're just looking for a straight blue, no funny business, the B20s are great for that. And our little chimp is gonna have a little purple tube around him. I thought, why not? Even big chimps can, you know, have purple tubes if they like. They don't have to have like masculine colors like green or yellow or blue. Why not purple? So I'm just gonna color in his little tube, making sure to leave the center with my lightest colors, just to help with the dimension there and to make it look like it's a rounded object. Our tiger, we're gonna color in with YR21, 24, and 27. These are some of my favorite colors in the Copic family. If you ever need to color in a lion or a giraffe, these three colors are perfect for that. If you need to color in pizza, like the cheese on a pizza, this color combination is also perfect for that. So again, it's YR21, 24, and 27. And we're gonna put a nice primary blue tube around our little tiger. I find that this blue color looks really, really beautiful and striking against the YR 21, 24, and 27. So if you're ever looking for an interesting, unusual combination of colors to use in your coloring, I recommend the pairing of the B20s with the YR20s. I think it just looks really, really striking and different and unusual. Okay, for our little hippo, we're going to color him in with some neutral grays. And I'm going to focus my shading on the little rolls that he has in his skin, and then the little roll in particular, like between his snout and his head, just to further reinforce that he's kind of roly-poly and he has all this extra skin and all this extra body. Just thought that would be cute. And then for the ears, I used R22 on the little critters. And then we're going to give the hippo a just straight yellow tube. So Y11, Y15, Y18, and then a little Y35 for the shading. Now let's draw some ripples of water around our tube. I'm going to use BG02 for that, and then also some BG05. And in a second, we're going to add some further detail with a white gel pen. And the trick there, you just kind of go in a circle around the tube to make it look like little ripples of water are spreading out away from the tube. I thought that we needed a little bit of interest on the bottom of the scene, so I'm just going to add some dots to our leaves and to our flowers, just to kind of differentiate, I think, the bottom of the scene from the top of the scene. I just thought with so much going on and so many colors and images competing for attention, we have to differentiate the different parts in different ways just so they can stand out on their own, but also at the same time kind of mesh into the background, if that makes any sense at all, which it might not. It's the middle of the week for me. So I guess I'm already getting a little bit tired from work. But anyway, so the last thing we're going to do is add the sentiment. And it says, I hope your birthday is a splash. I popped it up on some foam tape. And then we're just going to add some glossy accents to the splashes again, just to make them stand out against this very busy scene, but also help them to kind of meld into the whole thing as well. And that's it. So that is our card for tonight, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you give this card a try. It's a lot of fun, and I think anyone that you give this card to will truly love it. Have a great evening, and I'll see you again with the next video. Bye.